tried to get through, but there was a race going, and you couldn't drive down Michigan Avenue. Right. And then I got in some neighborhood trying to get out of this neighborhood.
So once again, we go through the centering process. You lift it up basically to get at the body of the club. Because when it's a short, large block, you can't center the middle. So you take it up each time. You'll feel it tighten. You actually feel it tighten up.
Do you always throw sitting down?
Yes. Once again, from learning production, there's no need to stand up. I can throw up to conversion 18, 19 inches without having to stand up. So once after that, that's a whole nother ballgame. And generally, I only stand up for two-piece pots when I want to do the join. Everything else is below that. It's getting harder to do with the elbow that doesn't bend. In Spain, I was very bad at the competition for the cylinder because I couldn't get down there. The platter, that was a different story. So this one we'll make a sphere out of, so we can start it a little bit wider, lock it in on center. The amount of times you do that just depends on how many it takes to get centered. If it takes a couple more to get it centered, you do a couple more. Once again, use the finger to open up on the angle. And it's actually centering the inside at the same time. Driving it in. Almost to the bottom.
What does the opening at the top look like now? Is it on an angle?
Have a quick look, it's like a V. It's a V to a cone. Quick look. So this is what you're doing here. You're driving down on this angle. Instead of just going straight down the middle, it's a centering process again. It saves time and it increases your ability to throw. Because it's hard to center that in the middle part. You really can't get at it. You measure the bottom. And even after 35 years, you get a feel for how thick the bottom is, but you can't trust it. If the clay's firmer, it'll feel different.
How far off were you with that?
That one, quite a bit.
Yeah.
That one was about that far off.
Centimeter.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, it doesn't matter because you just put the pin in and you're going to push that.
That gives you an idea.
It gives you the exact measurement, and you can feel when you get down to the hole rather than the punch. Mm-hmm. It's a really good guide. Such a simple tool.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you buy them from
I learned
Margaret, and you cut the top off.
Did you come up with that on your own?
Yeah. Because I have a lumber clay here with my guide in production to the size and volume, the width and the height that I want to do, just a ruler, and this sits in the clay and you punch, stick it back in the
Is
clay.
that about a centimeter of needle sticking out? Is it
Yeah, that's about
12 millimeters?
12 mil. Yeah, I like to put a decent foot in, decent sized foot. With my work, I sign the bottom in glaze. I use a slip trailer. We'll go through that later, but it's a black glaze. I like people to know that I made it, and so I want it off the bottom quite a bit. Otherwise, that will stick. Sometimes the bottom will bow a little bit, and if you haven't got enough depth, and if you like to glaze the inside of your feet, you get yourself a bit more, and you can glaze the inside. And that's a lot of work, and it's inside the ring when you're doing crystals, so it's even harder. So I don't do it.
How about the width of the bottom? Do you have a target width in mind for when you make your riser?
No. Some pots I cast and they're all set, and then that's a set size. With these, I have a target generally for the bases that I make. I cast a base that I sit my pots on, so they have a certain set size, and I'll work towards that. But other than that, no, I don't have a standard size. It depends on the pot. The relationship of the width of the base is important to whatever you do on top. If you have a narrow neck and you have a wide base, it looks dumpy. So there's a direct proportion to both. If you do a collared neck, and this part here is say 2.5 inches, The base should be close to that. Doesn't have to be, but if it's way out in that fall, you know the difference. It's just not right. When you flare the top out, that gives you a bit more scope for a wider base because you've got that reference point. When I open this up, I'm thinking, what sort of pot am I making? How far am I going to go? And I have to, personally, not open too far because it tends to open a bit more as I throw. And I didn't do it right then. I wasn't concentrating. I'm way off. So I'll go back in and find the bottom again. Once again, compress to the middle. In platters, I'll leave the corner down there where the wall's going to form as a curve, because then you're going to work with the curve to go out, otherwise you get a step in your platter. In the vase or an up shape, it's just square. So it's a square section. So the whole bottom is just flat.
So now your V opening has turned into more of a square.
Traditional square. And once again, you just compress till you feel it's right. Sometimes it'll take 2, sometimes 7. Depends on the clay itself. You get right to the middle and then it's nice and tight. Best to keep a nice flat bottom too for drying. Now here we go with the pressure from the outside, both hands evenly, and lift.
Simple as that. Yeah.
It's, yeah.
It's the opposite of what
What we all
need. Yeah.
Sorry about that. But it works.
That's very
It's a
Yeah.
production method. It's not elegant on, like I say, the inside is rough, but you just get it up there and get started. It doesn't take a lot of power. Bigger pots it will, of course, more pressure, but you try and use a nice fast wheel to work with you, to do the work for you. Because it wants to throw out, so you're guiding that throwing out process. The speed of the wheel is not set. You work with the speed of the wheel as you do it. That's where the chimpo whisper is tricky, because you can't hear it.
Yeah.
And normally you get a relationship going on. It's intuitive, but you get that relationship with the wheel speed going.
We do have some noise here once.
That's quite a few.
Whispered.
There's music on my videos for a reason. The wheel is very loud. I used to think it was a good one, so I worked on this one. Drive down to the middle. Fingers go into the corner as we get down, like this.
So when you do collar that for the first thing, the center is getting very narrow, and you're saying you're actually
Yeah, the width of your hand is actually doing a compression on both sides of the wall.
pressing it as you're
And yeah, compressing and tightening up again. It's almost another centering act as you go in. So we go down, push in from the outside, push together, and up we go. This time we're going to make a spherical shape, so we don't have to make it such a thin sectioned cylinder.
Too cool.
When you get up to that point, there's nothing to work against. Here you're working against this part of the pot. When you get up to here, there's nothing up here to work against, so you have to slow it down and bring it up. And then you collar it. Now this cylinder's quite thick at this point. That part there keeps it all compressed. Tighten it up.
maybe 20 millimeters, 2 centimeters.
No,
Thick walls?
thick is 12 mil. Now we'll do a nice, neat tidy up where it's uneven. The bottom would be a lot thicker. We're just tidying up the wall so that when you do the lift, it keeps your lift as even as you can make it. That doesn't look like much, but you just straighten it up. The point there being, if it's already partly out, you don't get the lift that you need. You need it narrow so your action can go out and lift. If it's already out there, you don't